Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Blanchard, and I will be teaching y'all a little bit about domestic water heater safety and appurtenances today. Before we get into the safety aspect of water heaters, I'll tell y'all a little bit about their history first. All the way back in the 19th century, Edwin Rudd invented the first automatic storage water heater, which wasn't completely refined, so it lacked safety measures that are required in today's water heaters. We then moved to the early 20th century, where pressure relief valves were introduced, which was a major step in the direction of safety for water heaters. In the mid-20th century, temperature controls were added to better regulate the water temperature, which helped prevent scalding injuries. In the late 20th century, automatic shutoff mechanisms for gas-powered water heaters were implemented. This improvement greatly reduced the number of fires and gas leaks caused by faulty water heaters. Moving into modern times, hot water heaters are continuing to improve by adding smart sensors and leak detection. Next, we'll go over a quick review of the most popular water heater types. First off, we have the tank type water heater, which can either be gas or electric. The gas type water heaters seem to pose the most risk and therefore need the most safety mechanisms, which we will get into on the following slides. The next type of water heaters are the on-demand water heaters, such as the tankless water heater, which provides water throughout the home, or a point-of-use water heater, which provides hot water to a single outlet. The first type of safety mechanism that we'll talk about today is the rudimentary pressure relief valve. This valve was included on water heaters until the temperature and pressure relief valve was invented, which we'll talk about on the next slide. The function of these valves is to relieve excess pressure buildup in the tank, as the name implies. The working mechanism behind them is a calibrated spring that is pushing down on a sealing surface shown right here. The spring is specifically calibrated to withstand up to a certain amount of pressure, and once the pressure within the tank exceeds the rated pressure for the valve, it will open to drop the pressure inside the tank. It is a good idea to do regular maintenance and checks to ensure that this valve is working correctly. Temperature and pressure relief valves act in an almost identical way to regular pressure relief valves, but they add a mechanism that senses heat within the tank. If the conditions within the tank exceed 150 psi or 210 degrees Fahrenheit, the valve will open. These specific numbers were chosen to not allow the tank to get to unsafe conditions that could lead to the tank rupturing, or even worse, a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion, also known as a BLEV. The temperature sensing mechanism in these valves basically functions as a hydraulic cylinder. Once the temperature exceeds 210 degrees Fahrenheit, the wax within the housing will melt and expand, pushing the piston up, which pushes on the seal and releases water from within the tank. Water will continue to get released until the cool water supply cools the tank enough for the wax to contract, allowing the spring to push the piston back down, therefore resealing the valve. If the temperature and pressure relief valve fails, a catastrophic BLEV could occur. This is caused by excessive pressure and temperature buildup in the tank. At specific conditions, once the tank ruptures or there's a sudden drop in pressure, all of the water in the tank will turn into steam instantly and expand up to 1,700 times its liquid volume. As an example, imagine a tank that is at 10 bar and 150 degrees Celsius. The tank ruptures, bringing the pressure down to 1 bar, which is atmospheric pressure. The water would all go from liquid state to gas state instantly, as shown by the graph. Here is a Mythbusters video showing how devastating a BLEV explosion can be.
In Water Heater Rocket, the boys were blown away by their 30-gallon water experiment. But what we didn't show you was what happened when we ramped up to a 52-gallon tank.
Small, no boom. Medium, boom. Extra large, kaboom.
It's the same type, it's set up the same way with all the safeties removed. Everything's the same except it's larger. So I would expect that this is going to blow up exactly the same way, but it's going to be a little bit more energetic.
To measure just how energetic, Jamie lays out shock watch stickers around the tank.
When these water heaters explode, they make a big bang just like an explosive. Now that produces a shock wave. We want to see exactly what that shock wave is. Is it actually comparable to a couple sticks of dynamite?
At least this time the guys know where to look. Straight up.
Do you want to spot how high it goes in the air?
Okay.
See if you can.
Oh, boy. Oh, well, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Once again, they count up the mounting pressure.
We're at about 265 psi and climbing rapidly, so be on your guard. Anything could happen from here on in. Over. We're now at 300 psi, double what the tank's rated for. Be on your guard. Okay, everybody in here.
Lucky we were all on our guard. The heater pushed off the ground with a mighty amount of thrust.
Look at how high!
Down it comes. Now.
Wow.
Look at the guys applauding over there.
Wow, that was just around 315 and that acted just like a rocket!
Yeah, I'm saying that went up maybe 500 feet.
The boom was commensurately louder. Whoa! And this time, knowing that it was flying up in the air, both Jamie and I took pains to watch it. And watch it. And it hung for like, had to be 12 or 13 seconds at least. It was stunning.
The telltale signs of a rocket are strewn all over the runway.
Wow, look at that.
Because that was concave.
Yeah, full bowl before we started this test.
It went from like this to like that.
So, whoop!
Jamie checks out his shock stickers.
These things register shock. They're all tripped. The green one represents 100 Gs. That's supposed to be lethal, so you'd be dead.
Note to self, never use a water heater as a drink stand.
Moving on to the next safety mechanism, the drain pan. This is a very simple idea that works very well. It's a pan that is placed under the water heater to catch any leaking or expelled water and divert it to a place that won't cause any damage to the home that it's in. Expansion tanks are quite important because they allow for the expansion of water as it is heated. This is important because the piping system within a home is a closed system. If all the water outlets in a home are closed and the water is still being heated in the tank, there needs to be somewhere for the expanded water to go besides repeatedly activating the pressure relief valve. This repeated activation is also known as chatter. This device works by having a diaphragm separating two halves of a tank. One half is filled with air and the other is open to the water system. As the pressure rises in the system, the diaphragm expands towards the side filled with air, and as the pressure drops, the diaphragm contracts back towards its resting position in the middle. Carbon monoxide detectors are an extremely important safety measure for gas tank type water heaters. These water heaters can exhaust carbon monoxide if there is incomplete combustion of the gas used to run them. If the exhaust pipe gets blocked in any way, carbon monoxide can build up in the home and cause serious injury or death if inhaled for too long. The reason this is so scary is because carbon monoxide is an invisible, scentless, and tasteless gas, so humans themselves couldn't detect it on their own, without the help of carbon monoxide detectors. These detectors work by utilizing electrodes and an electrolyte solution, which reacts with the carbon monoxide in the air, changing the resistance between the electrodes, which trips the siren. Thermostatic mixing valves are another important type of safety device that all water heater types use. They are placed at specific locations such as showers or faucets, and their function is to properly mix hot and cold water to prevent scalding. Inside the valve, there is a plunger that regulates how much hot and cold water mix. The thermostat automatically adjusts the plunger position, much like how a pressure and temperature relief valve works. The desired output temperature can be adjusted using the knob at the top of the valve as well. Temperature scalding chart highlights the importance of thermostatic mixing valves. If unregulated hot water straight from the water heater is allowed to pass through to a faucet or a shower, scalding could happen instantly. This is why it's important to have and maintain thermostatic mixing valves in a home. Here is a list of all the sources that I used in this presentation. Finally, thank you all for your time, and here's y'all's quiz.